All right. Hi, everyone. We've just hit 3 o'clock, so we will get started. Can you just give me an indication that you can hear me okay? Awesome. Thank you. So welcome to this afternoon, and thank you so much for giving your time to come and join us this Arvo. My name is Jess Vallalonga, and I'm the Student Pathways Leader at Open Access College. So I've had some conversations with many of you already, which is fantastic. And you're here this afternoon, hopefully to find out a little bit more about VET, what that means, and then how we can look at moving forward with applications for 2024. So before I talk about some of the more, I'm going to call them boring elements like eligibility and how to go about applying, I'm going to hand over to Harrison Sanders, who is joining us today. And he has had some real success through VET, and I'm not going to do much of an introduction, but I'll let him do it himself. So Harrison, over to you. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for having me. I just need to be able to see the presenter's view. There we go. We're good now. Welcome everyone. Thank you for coming along to this presentation. VET is something I'm super passionate about, so it's great to see so many people in here who want to know all about all the great things VET can give you. So I'm going to present for about 20 minutes and then happy to answer some questions after that as well. So if you've got any thoughts, hold on to them and shoot them my way at the end. So yeah, my name's Harrison Sanders, and you can see I've done quite a bit in my VET career, so I'm going to get into that and tell you guys all about all the good things. So a little bit about me. So my VET journey started back in year 11. So I undertook a Certificate 2 in Construction Pathways, and then I followed that up in year 12 with a Certificate 3 in Carpentry. Now across those 2 years, I had to do 2 work placements each year, so I did 4 all up. And my final work placement in year 12 was with a builder in the Barossa Valley, and they actually employed me before I had even finished school. So I left school after year 12, and straight away I had an apprenticeship with a really good employer. So I started my apprenticeship full-time in 2016, and that was 2016 to 2018. So 3 years I was a full-time apprentice carpenter. And in that time, it took me 2 years to complete all of the competencies. So there was 30 units I had to complete in 4 years, and I'd done them in 2. And that's all thanks to my VET training in schools and everything that I got ticked off while I was doing VET as a school student. In 2019, I continued my apprenticeship, but I became part-time. And the reason for that was I started my university degree at UniSA, which was a Bachelor of Education. So I did that for 2 more years. And so that means my 4-year apprenticeship actually took me 5 years total to complete, but I'd already started my degree and I'd already finished the education side of the apprenticeship well in advance. In 2019, I was named the Young Achievers Outstanding Apprentice for South Australia. And in 2021, I won the South Australian Apprentice of the Year Award, and I was the Australian Apprentice of the Year runner-up. So yeah, VET has done some pretty awesome things in my life, and I hope it does for you guys too. Since then, I've completed my university degree to become a teacher, and I graduated Dux of Education at UniSA, so I did pretty good there too. And since then, I've moved into teaching in my areas of specialty, which are design and technology, so everything to do with tech and mathematics as well. But my journey did begin all the way back in school as a VET student. So I guess my question for you guys, it's a bit rhetorical, but to start us off is, what do you think of when you hear the word VET? And I mean, I get heaps of answers to this. Maybe you think of cute cats and dogs, and yes, that is my dog. That is Diesel, the Border Collie. He's very cute, very old. Maybe you think of sick animals or animals getting better. That's typically the answers I get from the younger kids. Or even Dr. Chris Brown, everyone's favorite vet. But do you think about this? Do you think about skills or your abilities or being successful or growing your careers? Maybe you're going to progress and become more advanced. Okay, lots of great things vet can bring you. Brings us to the question, well, what is vet? So we'll break it down a bit. So vet is vocational education and training. And I mean, when I was your age and I was sitting in something like this, I'm probably still going, well, what does that actually mean? So a vocation is an occupation, an employment, or a career. So it's all about you and what you wish to do when you leave school. Education training, well, I think we should all know what this is. We're here at school doing it all day, every day. So I'd be worried if you didn't know what education training was. But when you put it all together, you get the education training aimed at providing students with the skills, knowledge, and experiences to be successful in their chosen careers. Now, the critical word there is experiences. VET is all about providing rich and meaningful, genuine experiences within your chosen industry. So it's the types of experiences you can't get out of a textbook, you can't get them out of a classroom. And even me, as a teacher, I can't provide my students with those really genuine experiences like we could if it was on, say, a work site in the building industry, if that was your chosen pathway. Now, I used to hear this all the time, and I still do hear it quite a bit. It's that VET courses are for people who just want to become tradies. Well, I've got some stats to actually show you that's not really the case. So I got some figures here. These stats are from 2020, so they're a few years old now, but I've underlined construction, plumbing, services, metal and engineering, so your real core trade pathways. And there's a combined 22,000 people undertook those VET courses that year. And if you come to the top of that list, tourism, travel, hospitality alone was 33,000. So that's 50% extra than people who did the trades. And as you go down that list, it's only the top 10, but you can see that there's such a range of courses and industries that you can get into. There's business, sports and fitness, creative arts, culture, community services. The list really just does keep going on. And one I find really interesting there is the foundation studies, where there was actually slightly more people did foundation studies than did construction, plumbing and services. And foundation studies can be used if you left school early, or if you want to upskill to get into, say, university or future education courses. Foundation skills is where you're going to start. So actually a lot of people undertaking that VET pathway, which can then lead on to university or further education. And I used to hear this one all the time as well. So VET courses are just for people who aren't good at school. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story as a student, take you through my last couple of years of school, and I'm going to try and show to you guys what that actually did for me as a student in school. So we're going to start with my year 9 report card, and you can see it's not too flashy. I had C minus, Ds, and that was pretty consistent across the board. Limited achievement, effort not satisfactory and consistent. So you're probably thinking, well, that kind of backs up what you're saying, Harry. You weren't good at school and VET was great for you. So, and the comment said, Harrison must work to the best of his ability on a more consistent basis. His grades suggest he is a capable student who is currently not working to the best of his ability. So yeah, not the nicest thing to read. But we're going to fast forward now. I'm going to show you my year 12 report card. So by year 12, I'd completely turned it around. I was straight A+. And if you look at the effort, always does homework, always comes to class, always engaged, always meets deadlines, the list goes on. So what changed between year 9 and year 12 for me? Well, for me, it was VET. So in year 9, I had no real goals. I didn't really have anywhere to aim. I didn't really have direction. I didn't see the sense of coming to school every day, showing up and putting in the effort. And then year 10 came around, and we started to look into what used to be called the PLP, where we looked into career paths, and I landed on construction and carpentry. And I thought, well, this could be something really great. By the end of year 10, I'd inquired about undertaking a VET pathway. And then I took that forward into year 11 and 12, and the rest is history. So it gave me that reason to show up every day, to put in the effort. And I think it actually did help me improve my grades at school and do better at school. And a bit of a hot tip, if you undertake a VET course, majority of them will have you going off to somewhere like TAFE for a day a week. And for me, going off to TAFE was me doing something I loved. I was interested in it. I was hanging around like-minded people and experts from the industry, and it helped me have a lot of balance. And I found to take myself out of the high pressure academic environment of school and to take myself into the trade environment of TAFE, it was just that balance I needed just to hit reset and then come back for the next week at school in that real high pressure academic environment. So I think it actually improved my grades, even though I was at school a little bit less. Now, speaking of report cards, as school leavers, when you guys leave school, there's probably a fairly good chance that employers may ask for your report card, or if you're going into your industry after VET, they may ask for your work placement reports. And to have a shining workplace report that says that you can come every day, you can show up when the work gets hard and you put the effort in, that'll be the most helpful thing you could ever have in terms of getting a job after school. So speaking of getting a job after school, to me, this is kind of like the race of life and the race to get a job. And I mean, that's you guys as the vet students. So once I got into the workforce, vet helped me to get ahead from day one. So like I said, I completed all of the study side of my apprenticeship in 2 years instead of 4. And I actually started with exactly 15 out of 30 units. So half of my units of competency already completed. So from day one of my employment, day one of my apprenticeship, my job was easier. I had some skills and some experiences already, and I didn't need to learn from zero in a high stress environment. So at TAFE, through vet, you're expected to make mistakes. You've never seen this before. So they're expecting to make mistakes. It's okay. We've got more materials here. We can try it again. We've got the time. In a workplace, time is money and materials are money, and you're expected to be able to perform. And yes, you're going to be new and you're going to make mistakes, but the expectation is that you're going to learn quickly and perform. So it was really nice to be able to learn a lot of that first and to dip my toes in before I went in head first. So it made me more employable as well, because my employer knew I already had some skills and I wouldn't need to be sent off to trade school as much. So I think in my 5-year apprenticeship, my 2 years of training, I only got sent off to trade school 3 times, and they were only for a few days each. So every other unit of competency I was able to complete on site with my mentors, the senior carpenters there. And yeah, I was able to be on site making money for my employer, for my company, almost the entire time. So less money lost, which again makes you more employable. So when I was your age, this is kind of how I saw it, was how to get a job after school, and kind of leans into how to be successful in your career. So you may have seen this on the internet, and it's step one is kind of how to draw an owl. So step one, we're just going to draw some circles. And step two, just finish the rest of the hour. Okay, oh, it's not that hard. Of course, like that just seems completely unobtainable. So, and I can compare that kind of to, well, how to get a successful career. And step one would be go to school, and good job, everyone. You're showing up every day, and step one complete. And step two would just be successful. Again, it just seems completely unobtainable. It seems ridiculous that you can be expected to just leave school and have a successful career. So what if it was more like this? What if it was step one, you're going to go to school. Step two, you may look into some careers you like. Step three, talk to some vet coordinators. Maybe you want to enroll in a vet course. I assume this is kind of where some of the people in here might be up to now. Step four, you're going to undertake that vet course. You're going to learn some skills needed to be successful. Step five would be begin an apprenticeship or a traineeship if that's the pathway you want to take. And then you'd be well on your way to being successful and starting your successful career. Now that bit in the middle, that is what vocational education and training is all about. It's all about providing the experiences and the knowledge needed to take you guys from step one being school students all the way to the end and being well on your way to being successful. So for me, well, what does my vet career look like? So although I'm a teacher now, I was doing something I loved every single day, and I really did enjoy it. And don't take my shift from being an apprentice and a carpenter into teaching as me not enjoying the job. I loved it, and I really do miss it quite a bit. So I got to use my skill set every day. I didn't just use it, but I really developed it and refined it. I was always looking for new ways to do things, and it developed into something that was actually a really impressive skill set. And that's something I'm really proud of. Over the last few years, I was able to mentor apprentices, and I was able to train them and guide them and really create a rich learning experience for them too as apprentices, and then pass on some of my knowledge that I learned along the way as well. So it was more than just shooting nail guns and putting up frames. There was so much more to it than that. And along the way, I became an incredible problem solver, which I think is just this most transferable skill. You can take it to every application you will ever do in life is problem solving. So what I learned in vet as a school student, I took straight into my apprenticeship. Then what I learned in the building industry, I take into the classroom every single day, especially in the technologies learning area. And when I was a uni student, I used to take what I was learning about how to teach and how to teach students, and I would take that knowledge back to my apprentices and make them treat them as like students of the trade more so than just someone who worked underneath me. And I was able to take that skill and apply that to give them a richer learning experience. So if you were to ask me, well, Harry, what is the biggest thing that you're going to take away from vet? And I would say it is those problem solving skills. You learn them in a real world context. They are super relevant, they are as up to date as you can get, and they are super transferable across everything you will ever do. So these problems that you're encountering are in real time, and they are by the people in the industry who are up against them the day they happen. So they aren't problems that are written into a textbook by someone 20 years ago. They are happening now. They are super relevant, that you're using the knowledge and the processes, the skills, the equipment that is current and relevant to solve them. And it can be nothing more genuine than that. We can't replicate that in a classroom. And I think vet teaches a skill set, but also it teaches you a way of thinking, a way of learning, and a way of working. And those three things will serve you well, no matter if you stick with the career for the vet industry you've chosen, whether you branch off, whether you do something completely different. Those three things will serve you well forever. And so, in my opinion, vet opens doors and creates opportunities. So you as the vet student sitting in the middle, there's so many different pathways. And again, this isn't all of them. This is just the ones that I think of. So you may choose to go and do an apprenticeship or a traineeship. You may choose to take what you've learned in vet and actually then just go to university, or you may choose to do both. And for me, I did both, and I love my pathway. And I think it's a big misconception that you can only pick one or the other. You can definitely do both, and I'm a huge advocate for doing both, but it is a lot of hard work, so be prepared for that. You may choose to go straight ahead and do some business ownership. And I know plenty of people who have come from apprentices to working for other people and gone, I want to give this a shot myself. And they're now running some really successful companies as well. You may choose to do some further vet training. Again, I know people who are doing Cert 4 in business ownership or leadership and management. And they're now managing teams in large companies, or they're running their own businesses and they're having a lot of success as well. And you may even do the right term, which is advocating for vet. And when I was your age, I thought there was no way I would ever be doing something like this. But it's turned out that vet is something I'm really passionate about. And I love being able to come to things like this and make sure that you guys get to hear all the great things vet are going to do, because it's something I'm passionate about and I want you guys to be passionate too. So plenty of options that you guys can choose just from being a vet student. Now, if you do choose to go down the apprenticeship or trainee route, there are a lot of major benefits as well. And the biggest one of them all would be you get to earn while you learn. And it is fantastic. You get to learn and go to work and get paid all at the same time. So apprentices and trainees get paid while they work and study for their nationally recognized qualifications. And 78% of vet graduates find work after completing their studies. And if you were an apprentice as well, so doing your vet, 92% of apprentices find work after completing their studies. And that compares to about 73% of vet graduates. So that's a 20% jump, which is huge. So now I've been both a university and a vet graduate, and I can tell you which one I liked more. So when I completed my vet, like I said, out of school, I was already employed by my host to start an apprenticeship. When I completed the apprenticeship, I was still employed. I just went to work the next day and suddenly I wasn't an apprentice, and which was great and a bit of a pay rise. But the best part was I didn't have to worry about, was I going to get a job after completing these studies? I already had one. Now, when I completed my university studies, I had to apply for jobs. I had to go to interviews. I had to compete for my employment. And I can tell you which process I liked more. It wasn't the university one. And so again, if you choose to become an apprentice, there's so many organizations across all industries that are really just out to support you guys and to help you guys make the most of that study. So the CITB is the Construction Industry Training Board. And I've chosen this one because I know a lot about the construction industry, and these guys are offering some great incentives to help out young apprentices. So the first one they do is career driven, where they will help either pay or subsidize all the expenses for getting your license. So licensing fees, sitting tests, going for your driving lessons, they will help pay part or all of that. Because really what they want is they want to see young people getting their license and getting out to site and getting into the building industry. The second one they have is the work equipment allowance, where they will supply apprentices with tool vouchers to help you get it set up. Now, I've been a first-year apprentice, and although apprentices have it a bit better with the pay these days than I had it back when I went through, things are getting more expensive. So what they're doing is they're providing you guys with tool vouchers to help you get kitted up, because some of those tools can get pretty pricey, especially when you're first starting out. And the last one they have is the apprentice incentive payments, where It says 1,000 reasons to finish your first year. And I'm sure you can guess what that means. They're going to pay you $1,000 as a bonus for reaching a milestone of finishing your first year. And I'm sure there's more payments after that. But again, that's just the first one you're going to come to. And $1,000, who wouldn't say no to that? Who wouldn't say yes to that? Sorry. So I'll wrap it up with some fast facts. Now, I've got 5 up there, and you're more than welcome to read them all. But I'm really going to focus on number 2, number 4, and number 5. So number 2, VET equips young people with the skills for the top 10 jobs predicted to see the fastest growth in the coming years, such as sales, aged care, childcare, and hospitality. So the top 10 jobs that are predicted to be the fastest growing right as you guys are coming into the workforce, VET can provide you with the skills for absolutely all of them. And that is really good. And like I said, it's going to make you more employable when you leave school. You can get straight into these growing industries from day one with a good skill set. Number 4, in 2017, over 183,000 people living with a disability completed the VET qualification. And to me, that just goes to show that VET is super inclusive and absolutely anyone can get involved. It doesn't matter where you come from, what industry you want to get into. There is something for everyone, and everyone can, and in my opinion, should get involved. And number 5, a VET qualification won't stop you going to university or following your passions. It will only add to your skill set and make you more employable. And I think when I was about your age, that's the one I didn't hear enough of. And that's the one I'm most passionate about, because I love it when people can combine these two worlds together and see the benefits of both. So I've told you all the great things. Hopefully you're asking yourself now, well, what can I do to get involved? First step would be talk to your VET coordinators. So your VET coordinators will be able to inform you about all things VET and how it works within your school. And they can provide you with the guidance and advice on which courses may be right for you. And we also have lots of great resources from the government. So we've got myskills.gov.au where you can search for courses. You can find out what jobs match your skill set. So there's probably some quizzes on there where you can say what you're into, what you're good at, what you enjoy, and it's going to come up with a whole bunch of courses that you might have not known existed. And you can also discover VET events and learn about different industries. So there may be information sessions, information nights, career expos, things you can go along to and really find out what all your options are. We also have the SA Skills Commission, where you can find out information about apprenticeships and traineeships, and you can find out all the latest news about training in South Australia. So maybe all apprentices got a pay rise and you want to know about that. Maybe there's a change in conditions or what you need to do as an apprentice. So it'd be really good to keep up to date if that's a pathway you're considering. And they also provide career and pathway guidance. And sometimes it can be really good to get an opinion or some guidance from someone who isn't quite as involved or not quite in the loop. So someone who isn't family or friends or someone from the school, sometimes it can be really good to go to someone and you can get a really good bit of guidance there. And so that's all I've got for you today, guys. So I hope you took something from that, and I really hope that you guys can find all the great benefits that a VET pathway has to offer you guys. So thank you for listening. And yeah, if you've got any questions, shoot them my way. I'm more than happy to answer them. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Harrison. It was so lovely to hear from you and your experiences, and you're getting lots and lots of rounds of applause there. I might just open up for questions for a minute, and then we'll move on and have a look at how we can actually get involved in VET. So does anyone have a question? Phoenix?
Hi. Well, you can, yeah, hear me?
Go,
Sorry,
yeah,
my
go for it.
mic was messing up. What would be some advice you would give to students who are like struggling mentally, like with time management, procrastination, and even just like, well-being wise?
Yeah. Oh, I think that's a great question. And that's not something I've put too much consideration to. So yeah, great to have a chat about this. I think you got to lean on your supports a bit. So obviously, I know me as a teacher, if I had any of my students come to me and say that, I'm here, I'm your biggest advocate all day, every day. And I want to see you guys do well, not just academically, but mentally in every aspect. So especially if it's with deadlines and maybe procrastination, we've gone through our studies as well. So we understand what it's like to be a student, especially with distractions and procrastination as well. So, and the looming pressure of deadlines. I would say go to your whoever your supports are, so whether it be family and friends, but definitely at school, come to your teachers, come to, if you're in a VET course, can you come to your VET tutor or whoever's teaching you at VET, and just have a discussion around the deadlines, the expectations, I often find procrastination comes from us not really understanding what we need to do. So, yeah, we'll sort that out later. So maybe with the procrastination side of it, coming to your teachers and saying, look, I'm not quite sure. Can you explain this to me again in a bit more detail? So, yeah, and then trying to get on things early as well. So the pressure will always be there, but if we can get it knocked out early, it just evaporates. And yeah, I always found that was good to get things done nice and early. So rely on your supports because we're all there as your biggest fans to see you guys do well, especially in vet. And hopefully that can help you guys and take some of that pressure off as well.
All right, thank you.
Go for it, Chelsea.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
Okay. 2 questions. One you might not be able to answer, Harrison. But who is the vet coordinator for open access? Oh, you. Okay.
We're looking at it.
My other question is, I also don't know if you'll be able to answer this, but I live like rural, so Roxby Downs. But I'm interested in the creative arts pathway. Do you know anything about online courses?
Jess might know a bit more than I do, just around is available to you guys at Open Access. But I know that since COVID, which there's been a lot of great things that have come since COVID, and one of them is online, remote and blended learning options. So I know universities definitely offer a lot more online now, and I assume it's the same through VET and TAFE as well. So hopefully there's something that you could do a bit more remote. But Jess, if you can add to that.
Yeah, there's definitely courses that offer more of the blended and online versions of them now. I will show you all the courses that are available in just a minute. All right, so you'll be
Okay.
able to see exactly what's out there. All
Okay,
right,
thank you.
excellent. Harrison, thank you so much once again for your time. It has been so lovely to have your expertise and experience in here to share with everyone today. So once again, thank you. And I'm going to still control back and I will let everyone know what we can actually do and how to go about applying. So just give me 1 second. I'll pop my presentation up there. All right, guys, just changing that over. So like I said before, I'm Student Pathways Leader at Open Access, and part of that role is coordinating the vet. Okay, so I am your go-to person for what you need in terms of vet. Okay, you can see my contact details up there. We have a specific vet email address at Open Access College, which is up on the screen. So you can certainly use that one to get in contact as well. All right. So I'm just going to go through with you today. Harrison's done a lot about what is vet. So I'm going to just go through a couple of things really briefly, and then we'll have a look at how that fits in with SACE, have a look at what courses are actually available, and then get into the nitty gritty about eligibility and actually how to apply for it. Okay. So we know that what vocational education and training is now. And I just want to really reiterate that what it's trying to do is give some industry developed training. So you are getting training that has been developed by industry. It's not people who think this is what needs to happen. Very different to what happens at school, but it's by industry themselves developing these training packages. So they're really up to date with what's happening within those industries. Okay, so you apply for a course that's run by a particular registered training organisation, and that RTO delivers, assesses, delivers and assesses your courses. All right. You get a lot of hands-on experience like Harrison was talking about, and it's really about making you super employable for the future. Okay. And like he said, and I want to reiterate again, is that it's not just about doing that and then getting into a job, but it is a pathway that can get you into university or further study. All right. And most courses will see you attending for 1 day per week. All right. Some are a little bit different. So I'll say the most, mostly it's 1 day per week. And some courses require some work placements on top of that as well. So it's really important to understand what you're getting into when you're signing up for a course, and what um, the, the different expectations are for different courses as well. Okay. I think we've heard a lot about benefits already from Harrison, but you can see, you get to develop practical work-related skills. You get an understanding of those real-life work environments, but in a really safe and supported way. You get that industry specific knowledge and experience before actually making a commitment to work within that industry, and get a head start in your pathway before leaving school. So you're building these competencies and these skills you need while you're at school. Um, and vet graduates earn wages that are comparable, or if not exceeding that of university graduates. So something I think that we don't expect a lot of the time. um, we saw that graduates have a higher employability rate than what undergrads do. And vet courses also adapt more readily to changing workforce needs, more so than what university does. So there are a lot of benefits to studying a vet course. In terms of how this impacts your SACE, so you need a total of 200 SACE credits, okay? And a vet pathway is a pathway that is still part of achieving your SACE, okay? So you use credits from doing vet courses to make up those 200 SACE credits, all right? Um, the way that it's worked out is that every 70 hours of your course gives you 10 SACE credits. So it really depends what course you're doing. They differ a little bit in how many credits you might get from them, and whether they give you stage 1 credits or whether they give you stage 2 credits. But there is, and I've put the link on the screen, which will be on our website, which is also on the OAC website. There's a SACE vet recognition register, and this is where you can see the maximum amount of credits that you can get from a course, okay, to contribute to your SACE. And you can also see whether they're going to give you stage 1 or stage 2 credits as well. And I'm going to say, there's a difference between a Cert 2 course, a Cert 3 course. The amount of hours that goes into different courses is different as well, okay? But they do attract SACE credits, and you can see on the vet recognition register how many credits exactly that you'll get from a course, okay? And it's also really important to note that you can actually use a Certificate 3 qualification to be counted towards your ATAR calculation. Okay, so if you are interested in going to university, a Certificate 3 course can be counted towards an ATAR calculation as well. Okay. All right. So I don't know if you've heard of this term flexible industry pathway before. Okay. But these are the courses that are supported through school. So you'll hear me refer to FIP courses. You might hear FIP being mentioned around the place, and FIP refers to these flexible industry pathways. Okay, and these are designed in partnership with industry, and they identify the qualifications that are appropriate for school students, and develop the skills and knowledge and competencies that are valued by employers. All right. So there are only courses available to school students in particular areas, because they're the areas that the the areas that are growing within South Australia. Okay, so the FIP courses that I'll show you in a minute, which I know is what you're all looking for, the FIP courses that I show you in a minute are in industries that are growing within South Australia. They're industries that'll get you employment. Okay, now these courses that are flexible industry pathways are courses that are subsidised. okay, which means that OAC will actually fund most of your course. Well, we get a funding for it, and OAC will generally do the gap as well for you. So these are the courses that are offered for school students, and these are the only ones that are supported through school, okay, the ones that are flexible industry pathways. Okay, it's really important to note. So these FIP courses are subsidised, and you can access that funding for one Certificate 2 course and one Certificate 3 course. Okay, so you may go into a Certificate 2 course and then do a Certificate 3 after. All right. You may also come across the terms on the job and off the job. Okay, some FIPs are delivered on the job, and on the job means that they're part of school-based apprenticeships or traineeships. Okay, if you're looking to do a vet course, which is a standalone course where you go and do the training 1 day per week, that's where we're looking at off-the-job courses. Okay, so you may see some documentation that lists a bunch of courses. There are many, many, many courses that are on the job that people can do through apprenticeships or traineeships. There's a much smaller number that are offered off the job through vet in schools. Okay, so it's really important that when you're looking at a course, it needs to be a FIP to be supported through school and to be subsidised. In order to sign up or apply for a vet course, you need to be living or working in South Australia. You may think that that's like a given, but at Open Access College, it's not always a given. So you need to be living or working in South Australia. Also need to be an Australian citizen, a permanent Australian resident, or an eligible visa holder. And if you need more information about that, I can show you where to go to find that information as well. You also need to be enrolled in year 11, 12, or 13. Okay, so there have been some changes to vet over the last few years. So you need to be a year 11, 12, or 13 student in the current year of enrollment. So if you were looking at doing a vet course next year, you need to be in year 11, 12, or 13, and also need to be 16 or turning 16 that year. I mentioned before that a vet pathway is also a SACE pathway. So doing a vet course, you also need to be undertaking your SACE. So you may be doing a course that is worth quite a lot of points, okay, but you still need to get your compulsory SACE subjects done at the same time. All right. And the last point on there is that you need a USI, which is a unique student identifier. And there's a link there, and on the expression of interest form, there's a link to actually get one if you haven't already. Okay. I'm just going to hold off on questions to the end because we're recording, and then if people watch it after, they can pause it once we get to the questions, but please hold them and don't forget them. Okay, so that's a little bit about the eligibility. The way that the process works is that industry want people who are ready to undertake vet. Okay, so students who want to do a vet course undertake something that's called VETRO, and that's a vet readiness orientation. So once you apply for a course, it's part of that application process is what's called VETRO. Okay, and so part of that is actually showing evidence of your interest or exposure to the industry when you're applying for the course. So I do a referral for you. Okay, you give me all the information, I do the referral for you. And part of that is giving evidence that you have interest, you have exposure to the industry. So you may have seen lots of things popping up in your advisory classes around, hey, there's this immersion night, there's this work experience, there's this opportunity for students, and it says this can contribute to your vet application. All right. So you need to have some things that are quite concrete that show your interest or exposure. So there are 3 different categories that you can see in the table. you need to have either relevant industry exposure, which means that you are working part-time or have casual work within the industry. You do volunteering within the industry. We can also organise virtual work experience in some industries, or you can undertake live on-site work experience as well. Okay, so they all form relevant industry exposure. Or you may have done some accredited training, like you've done a vet taster course or a short course, like you might have a white card. If you're looking at getting into the construction industry, you may have done a first aid course. Okay, so you may have done a short course that is relevant for the particular industry you're interested in, or you may have already done a certificate course. So if you're applying for a certificate 2 or 3, perhaps you've done a certificate 1 or 2 first. The third category is relevant SACE curriculum work. So you might be able to show through work that you've done that you have explored this industry and this career. So you might have done exploring identities and futures, or you may currently be doing it. Okay, or you may have done PLP in the past. So through PLP or EIF, you may be able to show that you've explored your interest in the career, okay, through that. You may have done workplace practices, or perhaps you've done research project or AIF, Activating Identities and Futures, which is the new research project. You may have done that subject and explored your interest in the industry through that. Okay, and these all act as evidence for your interest in that particular industry. You may also, if you're looking at doing a course in IT, be studying SACE IT subjects at school. Or if you're looking at an industry such as hospitality, you may be doing like food and hospitality subject at school. If you're interested in getting into early childhood education and care, then you may be studying child studies at school, which you can use as evidence of your interest within that area as well. You may also have done an industry immersion activity, and those are the ones that have been advertised within advisory quite a bit, particularly over the last month. Okay, there's quite a few industry immersions happening across August. Okay, so that's really your first kind of point is, have you got some evidence that you can use to apply for the course? Okay. If you're looking at this and thinking, nope, nope, I've got nothing, but I really want to do a course, then we need to build that bank of evidence. Okay. You don't have to have everything there. You just need to have something. All right. So it may be that you want to organize some work experience, okay, relatively soon, all right, to try to build that evidence. Okay, and I'm also the person to talk to about work experience as well. Okay, so you need to have evidence to apply for a course. Also, part of the Vetro is that once the referral goes off to the training organisation or the RTO, they do a literacy and numeracy assessment. Okay, it's not a test. It's not testing whether you can or can't do the course. It's about seeing where you're at and whether you perhaps do need more support in order to undertake a course. Okay, so doing a literacy and numeracy assessment is part of the Vetro process. All right, so the RTO assesses your awareness, knowledge of the industry, and really is making sure that you're making the right decision about undertaking that vet course. Because it's not about, hey, I want some more SACE credits, I'm going to do this. It's about, hey, I'm really interested in this industry and I want to get a head start on it. Okay, so that's part of the process that you'll go through. All right, so how do you apply for a course in 2024? So at the moment, TAFE SA, as one of the providers, already have applications open for 2024. All right. Some other providers also are already open for applications as well. Some will open very soon. All right. So you need to start thinking about putting together that evidence, all right, so that we can get that application in sooner rather than later. All right. Ideally, you would have your 2024 enrollment meeting with one of the student wellbeing leaders at Open Access before we do this process, but they don't open for enrollment until term 4. Okay, so ideally that step would come first, but it probably won't. Okay, so the first step will be perhaps having a conversation with me instead about what's available and what's out there. All right, because you need to know where the course is, what it looks like, etc., where you can do it, who's offering it. You need to know that before you can apply for a course. So usually that conversation could be had at that enrollment meeting, but that won't happen till term 4. And I'm urging you all to undertake this process and apply before then. Okay. So if you are interested, I will say first step, get in contact with me and we can work out, if you don't know already, we can work out exactly where the course is offered, okay, which provider you might like to go with for the course. All right. Then you can complete the VET expression of interest. The VET expression of interest form is available on the Open Access website now. So if you have all the information about your course, then you can fill that out. Even if you don't know the location or provider yet, if you can certainly start by filling that out, and then I'll get in contact with you about, working out those finer details about where you might like to do the course, okay, and who's offering it. You'll then need to supply your evidence to me so I can make your referral. All right. Once you've done that, referral goes in and then you'll undertake that VETRO assessment. And if you're successful, you'll receive an offer for the VET course. And hopefully we can get those, they'll usually come out towards the end of term 4. Okay. So it's important to note that when you do have your re-enrollment meeting at Open Access, you won't know whether you've been accepted into a VET course or not. Okay, so the second dot point up there, you need to, when you have that enrollment meeting, still select a full complement of subjects for 2024, because there's no backup that you will necessarily get into the course. Okay, there's no guarantee that you'll get into the course. All right. It's also important to note that courses can fill up. So it's kind of a first in basis and they can fill up. So please put that expression of interest form in as soon as you can. If you can get them done sooner rather than later, before the end of this term, you're going to have greater success at getting into a course. And then most providers will be offering that VETRO assessment. Some of them will offer it at the end of this term, some of them early next term, and some of them a little bit later in term 4. All right. So I can't give you specific deadlines for everyone because all providers are working off slightly different timelines. Okay. So the best thing we can do is get your evidence sorted and get that expression of interest in as soon as you can. Okay. Now, this is the part I think you're waiting for. So up on the screen are the flexible industry pathway courses. These are the ones that are available to you. All right, so you can see that there are courses in aged care and disability, in agriculture, in animal care, aquaculture, automotive. There's a construction pathways course. There's a resources and infrastructure course, horticulture, community services, early childhood education and care, electrotechnology, engineering, food processing, retail, cosmetics, salon assistant, which is hairdressing, allied health assistants, health services assistants, horticulture. Did I have that up there twice? Oh, I think it's just under 2 different headings. Hospitality, cookery, IT, maritime operations, plumbing, screen and media, and the racing industry. So these are the courses that are available to apply for as a vet school student. Okay. You can come back and see this after. There's a link to these on our website as well. All right. So that kind of brings me to the end this afternoon. Hopefully that's given you a bit more of an overview about what's out there and the process that you need to go about in order to apply. You can get in contact with me. Okay, so that's my email address. I know I put the other one at the start of the presentation. They both reach me, but that's my email address. So please get in contact if you have any questions at all. If you're not quite sure about what you want to do and you want to chat through it, please let me know. Okay, our Open Access College website vet page has the expression of interest link on there for you. So that's where you'll go to, and that'll indicate to me that we want to have a conversation and look at applying. Okay. There's also a link on there to the 2024 course guide from TAFE. Now, TAFE are only one of the providers, but their course guide is quite student friendly. So it's a nice place to go and find out a little bit more about the courses and what they entail. Okay, so that's up there for you as well. Okay, I am going to hand it over to you now if you have some questions. Go for it. Phoenix, hello, go for it.
Hi. Will we be will you be sending us the links and whatnot to these two PowerPoints and the recording?
I'm going to put them on the Open Access website.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Claire, go for it. Oops, I think I might have. Oops.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, go for it, Claire. Yeah.
Hello. I just wanted to clarify what you meant by some courses being school supported and only those flexible industry pathways being available. My student is doing a Certificate 3 that's not on that list, but that is on the SACE register. And there's a huge amount of other courses that are on the SACE register.
Yeah.
Are students not able to choose from them? What are they, other than the school subsidising the funding, in what way are they not supported?
So the line from the department is that, I mean, you can go about, students can do any course and well, not any course, but a range of different courses and still get SACE credits for them. So that is still available. But the school support comes down to the subsidy and the reduction in classes. So schools are not meant to reduce classes to support students doing courses that don't fit the flexible industry pathways.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
And so that includes those like pre-apprenticeship courses that are not on that list, but that are in the, supported industries. There's like the kind of plumbing preparation type pre-apprenticeship courses and that kind of thing.
Yeah, look, students can certainly do them. Unfortunately, they're not subsidised, but the school would support the ones that are on the DFE list. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Claire. Bethany.
Well, I kind of had questions on where to find it, but I found it.
Great. Excellent. Amali?
Is your student ID a USI or do you have to apply for that separately?
No, you have to apply for that separately. So when you go to the expression of interest form, it'll ask you for your USI and there'll be a link to it where you can go and create one. Otherwise, you can Google USI and it will also be the first thing that pops up. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Bethany, did you have a question now?
Yeah. So how do we find like the links to the courses?
So that's why I've popped up the TAFE essay guide. That's going to be a starting point for you. So that guide will give you a bit of an idea about, and if it's not on the open access website yet, I've asked for it to be put up there. So if it's not there just yet, it will definitely be up there ASAP. Okay. And that'll give you a starting point for what the courses entail. But otherwise, get in contact with me and I can let you know which providers are offering the course that you're interested in. And I can look at where you're located to see which ones might be most appropriate as well. Okay.
Okay, because there is like a link there that says TAFE Essay 2024 course guide, but you can't click on it.
Okay, great. I'll fix that. I'll get it fixed. All right. It doesn't look like there are any more questions at the moment. Please note down my email and get in contact if you have any questions. And I look forward to lots of expressions of interest coming in and getting you in courses for next year. So thank you so much, everyone. Yeah, like I said, let me know if you've got any questions.
All right, bye.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.